Boom. Now I'm recording. So, all right. So we just started the recording. I almost forgot. All right. Don't want to get buff. Yes. Right. So when we talk about protein, we hear this a lot, and it just comes from, I think, the supplement base of protein and getting buff, right? Before there were meal shakes and, lean protein shakes, essentially what was all on the market were these muscle building shakes, right? And the people that we saw taking them were like the strong men, or they were like really ripped and like shredded, right? And so we're like, really got associated that these protein shakes that were being consumed by bodybuilders and people that were looking to, efficiently get in a large amount of protein and calories, was associated with weight gaining. That's not the truth, right? The biggest way that you're going to gain weight is by pouring in a lot of calories into that. It's really the only way you can really gain weight, right? If you cut out the calories, you lose them because your body doesn't get any more energy, right? And it's going to attack the muscle mostly first, and then some of the fat later, right? Our body wants to keep fat as much as possible because it doesn't cost our body much to maintain fat, right, as it does muscle. Plus, we're going to learn later, we have these essential amino acids that are a part of our muscle, right, that our body would break down first to help feed itself. And so we'll learn a little bit more about that. So thank you so much. Yep, too much protein equals weight gain, right? And we're going to share a little bit about how actually consuming a little bit more protein can help your body burn and use more calories. All right, so I'll get into that a little bit later as well. But looks like we help answer any question. Anybody else, anything else you want to share? Too much protein at one time can be turned into fat. Oh, nice, Thomas. Yeah. So typically, amino acids don't get stored inside of our body. They kind of go through us. So if we're ingesting a whole lot of protein, a lot of it comes out the other side, all right? Unlike maybe our fats and carbs, which can be stored in our body fat. Sometimes we can store a little bit, but not very much. Mostly our carbs and our fat's going to be used to store. So thank you, Thomas, for that one. Love that. Cool. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with y'all. All right. And so this is our protein. We're just going to go through some of the basics about it. All right. So protein, what is it and how much do I need, right? We all know that we need protein, but how much? Some of us maybe aren't so sure. All right, so let's just get into what is protein, okay? So really quickly right here on the bottom right, what you see is the molecular structure of protein. So it contains oxygen, carbon, nitrogen, amino acid side chain, and hydrogen, okay? And so when we put in protein into our body, right, it's simply coming in the form of food, all right, which could be meat, fish, poultry, dairy, nuts, legumes, some vegetables, right, have protein. And so we eat them, we chew them, and then we swallow, right, and it goes into our stomach where it's combined with all of, our stomach acid and going through our intestines, right? And so when it goes into our stomach, what our body does, it starts to break down protein, okay? So we learned last week that amino acids are the building block of protein, and they're kind of like the alphabet of creating a protein, right? There's 21 different amino acids, and when you combine them in different ways, you can create different types of protein. And so in our stomach, right, our body is breaking down this protein into the amino acids where it can be absorbed into our bloodstream. All right, so it's going to take the amino acids, going to put it into our bloodstream, and our blood's going to help carry it and transfer it throughout the body to where it's needed, typically to our muscles, right? Amino acids are really, really essential for exercise and the muscle contraction. So you're going to find a lot of our amino acids going into our muscle, although other parts of our body may use it as well. All right, so protein is one of the major nutrients that the body requires in adequate amounts every day. Proteins are made up of building blocks called amino acids. So I asked the class earlier, and someone could go ahead and unmute themselves if they know the answer. If protein is one of the major nutrients are macronutrients, what are the other two macronutrients that bring calories into our body, not including alcohol?
Fat and carbohydrates.
Fat and carbohydrates. Yes, that is correct. All right. So fats and carbohydrates are the other two major nutrients that we put into our body that deliver us energy, right? Calories. All right. And so As I mentioned, there are 21 amino acids when arranged in different ways make different proteins found in foods and proteins that are made by the body. Many of amino acids are essential, meaning the body cannot make them and they must be supplied from the diet. So with a lot of this nutrition stuff that you're going to hear, there's going to be non-essential and essential, right? There's essential vitamins and nutrients, and we're seeing here that amino acids are essential. So whenever you hear that, all it means is that we have to make sure that we're ingesting it. We're putting it into our body because our body doesn't create it on its own, all right? And so when you eat foods that provide protein, it kind of makes sense that since they're made up of different letters, per se, amino acids, you know, they all contain different types of protein, right? And so if we look at our foods, like we can see that there's different types, right? We got our milk and yogurt where we're going to normally find our casein and whey protein, right? We have meat, fish, or poultry, which is going to provide collagen and myosin, among many others, right? Beans are going to have legumins, right? That's the type of protein that's coming from beans. And eggs have avidin and ovalbumin, all right? And so a lot of these types of protein, some dissolve fast and some dissolve slow, all right? And so we'll learn a little bit more about the fast and slow dissolving proteins a little bit later, all right? But why is protein so important? And so for most of us, I want to just go ahead and take a screenshot of this right here, all right? And so one of the biggest ones is contractile, right? So they help our muscles contract, okay? So that's important because if our hamstring wouldn't contract, we couldn't walk, right? So our bodies have to be shortening and lengthening muscles all the time. And so contraction is super, super important, all right? So protein is a big responsibility for that. It helps with antibodies, right? Creating more T cells to help fight infections, right? It's gonna help transport more hemoglobin and essential nutrients throughout the body. Of course, our structural, right? So structural meaning like our hair, our skin, our nails, body structures, right? So protein is extremely important for that. And it acts as a receptor to support our central nervous system, all right? And our central nervous system really is like, I mean, it kind of says what it is, right? It controls our whole body, all right? And so protein is really, really essential to making sure that happens. And one of the more important ones is hormonal, right? We can see right here the gland and the hormone and its function, right? We have different glands inside of our body and they release different hormones. And so making sure that we're providing our glands with the things that they need, the healthy stuff that they need, is going to help make sure that we're providing the healthy hormones that we need, right? And so obviously having a good mental attitude and relieving stress is also hormonal. So overall, we're seeing here that protein really does provide a lot of great aspects. You know, it has a lot of important functions within our body. All right, so one of the primary roles, as we learned, is to manufacture important body structures, which include muscles, organs, skin, and hair, right? I don't think I'd look very pretty if I didn't have skin, all right? And so anyone else think they would look all right with some skin, right? It helps protect us. There's layers of skin to protect us from different things, right? And, you know, if you didn't know, skin is also the largest organ in the body, right? It's a living organ. So without adequate protein, the body would not be able to grow or to repair everyday wear and tear on muscle tissue. So every day, whenever we do stuff throughout the day, our body's making little micro tears inside of our muscle. And for those of us that are exercising, when our heart rate reaches a certain level, it starts to break down muscle to, you know, one, as we're exercising and making these small tears, but two, we'll start to break down muscle because we're needing those amino acids for energy at times. All right. Someone muted themselves. There we go. I think I got them. All right. So we really want to make sure that we're putting in enough, because if we don't have enough protein, our body will begin to self-cannibalize itself, right? So what does that mean? It's going to start to break down the muscle tissue that we have because it wants the amino acids that are inside of that muscle, right, to provide for the rest of the body. So we got to make sure that we're putting in enough, all right? And so that's what it talks about right there. And hormones and enzymes are vital functions to help the body perform various functions, all right? And so if you're not aware, stress, right, a stress hormone really not good for us. And that hormones can be one of the #1 causes for us to either gain weight or have our ability to not lose weight, right? And so we want to make sure that we're keeping a great balance of our hormones, right? And so protein is something that helps with that. All right. This is one of my, I didn't know this until I started to put this together, but high protein foods increase the production of dopamine, a brain chemical that helps keeps you mentally alert. All right. So I just had one of my protein bars right now because some of these words, right, I want to be able to pronounce, but making sure that we're helping to stay mentally alert. And so I brought up the topic of, vegan and vegetarianism, right? Super great, super healthy. We're providing a lot of plant-based nutrition into our system, but sometimes when people have done it without doing enough research, they're not getting enough complete proteins, right? So essentially we're missing some of those essential nutrients and essential proteins that we should be putting in, we're not getting into our body. And so sometimes if someone is vegan or vegetarian, it hasn't been making sure that they're getting the full realm of amino acids that their body needs, they can lack this production of dopamine, and it causes them to kind of like drift or not being able to maintain focus for long. All right. Protein has a very positive ability in helping us manage hunger, right? Which is one of the reasons why it's so popular. And we've heard of different popular diets that are high in protein, right? And some of them are maybe a little bit more than I think we really need, but we try to recommend around 30% of our total calories coming from protein. All right, but protein and fiber, those two are very key in help fighting hunger, right? So I don't know if any of you guys can relate. I'm gonna go ahead and put this on to a lot more of you, but have any of you ever just like whipped through a bag of chips or like a couple of sweet treats, and maybe you've ingested like 1,200 calories and you're like, I don't even feel full. Like I don't feel like I ate anything, right? I could polish off a whole box of honey buns and be like, dude, I didn't even feel like I ate anything, right? Because our body wants protein. It wants different things to help keep us fuller longer, right? And so carbs alone, and sometimes protein alone, doesn't help us maintain that. But we want to make sure that we're using a combination of it, all right? So another benefit of protein is it raises your resting metabolic rate by maintaining muscle mass, all right? So we raise our resting metabolic rate by having more lean muscle. In fact, for every pound of lean muscle you have, you can burn an extra 14 calories a day, all right? For every pound of fat you have, you burn right around 3 calories a day. So when we have a choice between the two, right, we want more protein because we're gonna burn more, but if we're not putting enough stuff in, right, our body's gonna wanna break down the thing that's costing our body the most, right? They're trained to be efficient, right? And so if you're not putting enough in, it's gonna get rid of what costs the most. Kind of like we do with like money, right? If you had Netflix and Hulu, right? Netflix cost you $14, Hulu cost you $3, and you're like, well, I gotta get rid of one, you'd probably get rid of the $14 one if they were pretty much equal, right? Unless you have a favorite, but our body doesn't have favorite, it just wants to be efficient. All right, and so one of the great things about protein is it also leads to much less rapid rise and fall of blood sugar and insulin. All right, so you avoid the sugar highs and lows after eating sweets without adequate protein. What does this mean? Essentially, protein and fiber will help slow down our body's natural ability to like bring sugar into the bloodstream, right? So it helps slow it down. For those people that may have diabetic issues, right? Protein and fiber are huge and so important for that, to help maintain our blood sugar levels, right? What we really want is this like level, pretty up and down throughout the way. And sometimes when we don't eat for breakfast, right, when we go to sleep, our blood sugar goes down, and then we bring it back up when we have our breakfast, right? What happens with some people though is they get these huge like energy crashes, ups and downs, right? We can see it with coffee and soda, right? Not black coffee, but when we're putting like sugars and creamers into our coffee, right? And just soda in general, right? You drink your soda and all of a sudden, boom, you have a big spike in sugar. You're up there, you got a little hyperness to you, and then all of a sudden it starts to come down, 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 and you're super tired and groggy, right? And so you drink another soda and it comes right back up and it goes back down. Then you eat some chips and it goes back up and it comes back down, right? And so what we want to do is help maintain a nice steady line. What are we going to do that with? Having our good proteins and our good fibers, all right? So how much do we need? All right, so these are 3 of the most common proteins that we see in supplements today, right? Whey, soy, and casein, right? Whey protein, one of the cleanest of the 3 proteins, and most times this is what you're gonna find out there. It comes from a milk base, and it's a fast dissolving, fast absorbing protein, all right? Which means it's gonna get into your body, and it's gonna go fast. Soy protein, right, is one of the only complete plant-based proteins with all essential amino acids, all right? So when we talk about legumes, rices, and stuff like that, they have protein, but they are not all complete proteins like soy is. And the nice thing about soy is it has less fats and almost no cholesterol when compared to whey. Casein is our slow digesting dairy protein, all right? So I talked about the fast and slow. Soy is right about in the middle, whey's fast, and casein is very, very slow. All right, so by having combinations of protein mixed in your diet, you're helping feed your muscles throughout the day. All right, so how much do I need, right? So here's a quick little one that you can do, right? You take your weight in pounds and divide it by 2.2. That's gonna give you your weight in kilograms, all right? Once you have your weight in kilograms, you're gonna multiply it by 0.8, all right? And this is the amount of protein necessary to maintain muscle mass, all right? For those of you that are active, right, you're running, you're having a little more endurance, you're gonna, instead of 0.8, you're gonna multiply it by 1.2 to about 1.4, all right? And those of you that are strength training, 1.4 to 2, all right? So that's one way that you can find out. And here's what we learned, right? About 30% of our calorie intake should be coming from protein, right? It essentially just means if you have protein in every meal and snack, you're gonna be hitting your goals, right? And we're talking like a palm, right? Anywhere between 3 to 4 ounces, unless you're you need a little more protein. You could have about 1.5, about 6 ounces or so. That's all your body really needs. That really should never need any more than like 10 ounces of protein or so. So when you're eating out, you can cut that portion in half because typically they're giving you a whole lot more than what you need, right? And we learned our body just kind of gets rid of it anyways, and it doesn't get to use it. All right, so here's just a quick general chart that we can use when talking about protein and calories for women. All right, and so we'll see right here, you could pick your height, right? And then you could kind of scroll over and you'll see the weight as they go. And once it kind of lines up on the dot, all right, you get a general term of what we should be having, all right? So let's just say we're 5'4" and 150, right? 5'4", 150, we end up in the green there. So about 145 grams of protein, about 2,000 calories a day, right? That's including your active lifestyle. And for those of you that maybe have not eaten that much before, you're gonna wanna build your way up to that, right? So you wanna get to that metabolism used to being fed, right? Because when we're typically feeding ourselves more than our body's used to, we can experience a momentary weight gain, right? But we're really starting to feed it more so that we can burn more, right? And that's what we wanna do. We wanna feed our body nutrition, make sure that we're getting in good amount of calories, or the right calories, that's gonna feed our body the right way. Right, and then our body's gonna get rid of the extra body fat that it doesn't need because it's receiving the amount of calories that it does. All right, and for men, all right, so a little bit different, right? Men typically need a little bit more, all right? And so myself, I'm 5'10", and I'm about 185, and so I'm having about 200 grams of protein and right around 2,500 calories a day. I'm a little more active and I do strength training, so I increase it, right? So I increase that by, I don't know, about 5% or so. So where I'm having about 210, 215 grams of protein, right? I'm also increasing my other calories as well. So I'm right around 27 to 3,000 calories a day because we're so active throughout the day, right? And so as you start to be more active, you'll start to kind of learn that you can have just a little bit more on certain days, and as your body starts to get used to effectively using those calories. All right, so make sure you screenshot these. If you need me to drop back to them, just let me know. All right, and here's some awesome vegetarian protein sources, okay? So they're not vegan protein sources, but they're vegetarian protein sources. And so these, gives you the food, the amount, the amount of protein in them and the calories, right? And so I mentioned like broccoli, right? Broccoli has protein in it, but it takes quite a bit. You're going to have, about anywhere between 5 cups or so, right, to make sure that you're getting an adequate amount of protein just from your broccoli. But when you're mixing it with all these other different things, you're going to be working your way up to make sure that you're having protein. We recommend anywhere from 17 to 30 grams of protein in a snack or meal based on your meal plan. Talk to your coach and they'll help you personalize it just a little bit more. All right. And so some quick little tips, right? We mentioned amino acids, and when we talk them in the long way, it's branched chain amino acids, BCAAs. You may have heard it when it comes to fitness stuff, right? There's BCAAs, and a lot of people take them while they're doing cardio because they could be used as energy, right? And it helps. It's a quicker way, instead of breaking down muscle, for our body to get energy, right? And actually, valine, leucine, and isoleucine are essential for muscle growth. All right, so those 3 essential amino acids are really key for those of us looking to build and even maintain lean muscle mass. The ones on the right, our body can synthesize those. The ones on the left, our body cannot, right? And so some of those tips, like I mentioned, right, eating protein and carbs is more filling than carbs or protein alone, right? It slows the digestion time to keep you fuller longer, right? So we always recommend that if you're having something with protein, that you're combining it with either one or both of the other macronutrients, right? And typically we stay away from the carbohydrates at night, and we introduce a little more of the fats or vegetables, right, which are still carbs, but they're vegetable carbs, towards the evening time. And the body uses more calories to digest protein foods than it does carbs or fat, right? So I mentioned earlier, by having a little more protein in our diet, our body's going to use more calories, right? It's going to raise it's going to raise our metabolic burn during the day to use more calories to help us digest those foods. All right, so before I move on, are there any questions that you guys happen to have about protein or anything that we went over today? Kind of just looking out at you all, seeing some beautiful faces. Y'all look good. All right, everyone feeling good? Perfect. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to just shoot us a message. You could send me a private message after, inside the chat group or through Telegram if you need to. Just let me know. I'd be more than happy to help share what we know about protein with you guys. All right. So that's pretty much the end of the nutrition aspect. But what I want to do is bring someone who's been utilizing these nutrition topics and these nutrition goals in his lifestyle for quite some time now. All right, and because he's been introducing it and found an easier way, right, Herbalife has just made it easy for us to get our protein in, easy for us to get the right amounts that we need. And he's been using it for quite some time. He's got some phenomenal results. And because of those results, he's learned how to coach others and help them, right? He was a personal trainer for a while, but you're going to notice that he looks way better now than he ever did as a personal trainer. And I don't mean it to say it that way. He knows I got a lot of love for him. So we're just going to ask that you guys help me welcome to the call our coach of the week, Augustine Arias. Augustine, are you there?
What's up, bro? Yes, I am here.
Hey.
Totally.
What you drinking there?
This is actually a double serving of tea and aloe. I got raspberry, lemon, and then also my mango aloe in here.
Awesome. So if you guys can't understand Augie when he's speaking too fast, know it was because of the tea and the aloe, right? Got crazy energy in there. But anyways, Augie, I want to go ahead and just let you go ahead and share and kind of share a little bit about your story and what's been going on with you, man.
Yeah, cool. So pretty much how I started this whole thing, right? And you'll see some pictures right now. I did. I was introduced because of my brothers, right? And then and Mario's dad, right? Into the nutrition. I was a personal trainer before this, right? And I saw my brothers and them doing the whole thing. And I just didn't want to be any part of it, right? I thought you had to eat natural and actual foods and things of that sort. But that was just like a whole different job, right? And so, yeah, it just took forever, man. And, finally gave in, right? I saw that all Mario and all my brothers and all them were getting all their clients good results. I mean, like super good results. And my clients were suffering because I was sending them to go to the grocery store and spend a lot of money there. When the food would go bad, and you know, everybody's on the go lifestyle right now. So I decided to give this a shot, and ended up getting results. Right, I ended up losing 20 pounds. I don't know if you can see the results there. I can't see them on my thing. Okay, I can't see them for some reason. Now I can. So you see in the left, right? The before photos. That was my initial result on the products, right? When I decided to go full on Herbalife and see if it worked. And I did what they told me, right? They laid down a meal plan for me, how to take the shakes, how to eat, and I ended up losing. And stuff, but we're just asking how I was, right, started to change, and this kind of, materialized. Right? I didn't know, and so I went up to want me to make the money, and I wasn't done, right? I was like, yeah, yo, I'm down to make some money by helping people, and so they showed me that, right? They're like, well, you already know how to take the products and get a result. So all you have to do now is just teach the person as well. And then I just kept on getting results with the products, helping people get results. And it's been a pretty cool journey, man, and building a business part-time, honestly. Like I've had other jobs, right? I worked at a school as well. And I built this business maybe 4 years part-time, extremely part-time. I've been putting in maybe an hour to 3 hours a week, right? Just consistent at certain things, right? And that's taking the products, talking to people, right? And I'll always wear my button, right? With that consistency and plugging in, I've been able to build a nice business, right? I found some people who were very motivated, and I just taught them to do the same thing, right? I plugged into systems like this, like the Rise Up community, right? Because I just leverage my time, and it helps all my people get trained by so many, just good coaches here, right? Like Mario, I mean, doing this nutrition talk, like I'm not very good at talking, guys. And so I wouldn't be able to do that. So I'm able to leverage this community, right, and this business and my uplines, right, and use their skills. And Mario's great and very knowledgeable. And so with that, when I plug my people in, they all learn from him. And thank goodness my team doesn't have to learn from me, right? So yeah, I love this system, man. So anybody, like, if I can do this business, I tell anybody can do this business, right? And my first check was about $74, right? And that's just from helping people. I ended up plugging more people in, and then my check kept on growing. And now I'm making over $3,000, right? And I'm, again, still part-time. I went full-time this year, but as you see, the whole coronavirus said, I had a whole different plan. So, yeah, I'm still doing it full-time. This is my first time, 3 months in, right, 4 months in now, doing it full-time, and I absolutely love it, guys. And over $3,000, I can't complain. I have a team out in Pennsylvania on the East Coast, and I have a team out here in the West Coast, right? So it's just been pretty cool. I'm one who really believes in leveraging the system, and because of that, I have an amazing team, right? They have opened up their own shops, right? So they're able to I'm actually at our shop right now, my brother's shop. We're here to serve people with the nutrition and stuff like that, but it's been cool, man. I've been able to travel as well, because again, I am my boss now. So if I want to go anywhere, I get to check in with myself and see if I really want to go. And if the answer is yes, I can just get up and leave, right? And that's the beauty about having your own business, right? And again, with everything that's going on in this type of world right now, like the whole pandemic, like I still have a great income. I still made over $3,000 last month. Like, it's ridiculous, So it's been pretty cool, and I don't put that much time into it, right? I just stay consistent. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what it is. I always recommend people to do it and just stay plugged in, but use the system because it helps a lot, right, to leverage it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Augie. And I heard you mention, you're making some extra money part-time, this full-time. I mean, I think you said your first check was like $74, right? Who could use an extra $74 right now? Like, I know I could, right? And so to be able to do the consistent things, right, which I think is one of the coolest reasons, and one of my main reasons that I love to spotlight Augie here is because his consistency in the little things, right? We saw in some of those pictures, it was, he's taking his products in the morning, he's working out at 5 a.m., he's waking up at 3:40 a.m., he built this whole community of people working out with him. He worked on his mindset, every morning I see him with his products and watching something to help grow his mind, right? I think that's the biggest key. Is you start doing these little things consistently, much like we have in the challenge, right? We have our 4 things that we're looking to accomplish, right? Our gallon of water, 30 minutes of exercise, 30 minutes exercise. Then we have our positivity and taking your product. Right? You start doing these things consistently over time, it's going to happen. Now, of course, Augie's results are phenomenal, right? But he didn't gain all that muscle and shredded overnight. It took time, it took a couple years, and it's consistency that really rules over everything. And so I want to thank you, Augie, for sharing today. If anyone has anything, let's just do this. I'm just going to mute you all so you guys could all say thank you to Mr. Augie here, because I think his story is amazing, and he's not a man of many words. So to get him to talk on this took me here and find him certain stuff. So help me thank Mr. Augustine Arias for his share right now.
Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, Augie.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so he's definitely a motivation and inspiration to me. His consistency is phenomenal, and as much as he says I teach him, he teaches me every day. And so I think that's the beauty of the community that we have. That's the beauty of the opportunity that we have. And so with that, I just kind of want to close it out now. I want to thank you all so much for joining in, for working on yourself, for learning little things to start implementing into your lifestyle. That's going to create a big change, not only for you, but the future generations. All right. And so I thank you guys for investing into your time and investing into your mind for that. But unless there's any other questions in the chat, which I don't think we have any questions in the chat. So it looks like we did a good job today. But if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. I think we have yoga. I think we have yoga still to go, right? Some yoga at 6:30. I believe it's 6:30. So another hour, we got some yoga going on. So if you want to get into that Zen mode, stretch your body out, right? Really, really important. And you could definitely have your protein and your recovery shake after yoga with Morgan later. So thank you all so much. I'll be posting the quiz and the YouTube link to this call shortly. So if you want to review it before you take the quiz, you can. All right. So thank you all so much and have a great evening.
Thanks, Mario.
Thanks, Mario.
Thank you, Mario.
Welcome.